Welcome, my delicate creatures of the night. Tonight, I invite you to explore a tale woven in shadows and silence, a story whispered only to those bold enough to peer into the abyss. Imagine, if you will, an abandoned mansion, an ancient labyrinth of crumbling stone and creeping ivy. This is where our sinister tale begins. They called it Blackthorn Estate, a place as forsaken as the skeleton of a long-dead beast. Property developer Ian Forsyth bought it for a song, thinking he'd found a treasure hidden beneath its decay. Poor Ian. If only he knew. You see, there was one thing about the estate that the locals wouldn't talk about. One thing that no amount of dollar signs could make them forget. The door. Ah, yes. Intricate and foreboding, it was said to stand alone in the estate's grand ballroom, separated even from the walls. Picture this. A door wrapped in ornate carvings, sharp angles, writhing trees, and pale faces frozen in silent screams. Most thought it a macabre decoration, perhaps left by the eccentric owner who died decades ago. But others whispered darker theories. They said the door was older than the estate itself, older even than the town. And did you know? The key was never found. Isn't that curious? Ian, the ever-confident skeptic of the supernatural, took one look at the door and dismissed the old wives' tales as quaint fantasies. He saw profit, not peril. He saw an auction piece, not an artifact of dread. Determined to refurbish every inch of Blackthorn Estate, he began his work. The ballroom and its isolated door, however, seemed to mock his efforts. Every worker who attempted to move it came to a sudden change of heart, or a mysterious accident. Broken bones, uncontrollable shivers, sudden swarms of spiders erupting from nowhere. They were plagued by it all. Within a week, no one would set foot anywhere near the estate, let alone touch the cursed door. Ian, stubborn as an ox and twice as proud, decided, if no one else will handle it, I'll handle it myself. He had a crowbar in one hand and determination in the other. Under the flickering glow of a dying chandelier, Ian marched towards the door, his steps echoing in the vast silence of the ballroom. What he didn't realize was this. The act of forcing the door open wasn't merely a physical task. It was an invitation unlike any other. He jammed the crowbar between the door and its frame. Or was it a frame? There was no visible seam, no hinge, just solid oak intertwined with impossibly warped metal. He grunted. He strained. Metal squealed against wood. And then, impossibly, he succeeded. The door opened. Not outward, not inward, but, how shall I phrase this? It seemed to stretch, unfurling itself into a yawning void. The air trembled, as if reality shuddered at the insult. A cold unlike anything Ian had known spilled forth. It wasn't merely a sensation, it was a malice so profound it froze the soul. And there, peering out from the darkness, was an eye. Or was it a window? Or an abyss? Impossibly deep and fractal, it was rimmed with shadows that writhed like living creatures. Ian stumbled back, gasping for the breath that wouldn't come. His mind reeled as the thing, yes, let's call it a thing, fixed its focus on him. And then it spoke. Not in words, no. Language would not suffice. Ian heard its voice inside his mind, 100 whispers layered atop each other, each tone pulling apart what little grip on reality he had left. "You call to me," it said. Or was it asking? "Who are you to demand entry? Who are you to question? Who are you to linger in the threshold?" Ian scrambled backward, knocking over what was left of the ballroom furniture. He stammered apologies, excuses, anything to end the onslaught in his head. But the whispers grew louder. They shifted and wrapped around his identity, peeling it like layers of flesh. He tried to scream, but it was lost in the suffocating cold. And then, the eye blinked. Or perhaps it winked. A violent twist of shadow and malevolent light collapsing onto itself, dragging reality into its gravitational pull. Ian? Well, Ian fell forward into the doorway, consumed entirely by the nothingness. No trace of him remained. Only the door stood quietly in the grand ballroom, as if nothing had ever happened. The estate, left untouched after the disappearance, began to crumble further into ruin. The door remained, standing perfectly preserved amid the decay. Visitors talked about it, of course. Paranormal investigators, amateur ghost hunters, curious souls who thought themselves braver than those who came before. But none stayed for long. Every person who crossed the threshold of the ballroom spoke of hearing a faint whisper, of feeling their marrow freeze with the sensation of being watched from within the door's carvings. And the whispers. Oh, those whispers. They always said the same thing. Who are you to demand entry? As for Ian, his name faded from the records, from memory. The town itself began to forget the estate entirely, as if the door implored the world to erase its existence. Well, that's only a legend. Or so they say. So, tell me, sweet shadow dwellers, if you found such a door, would you dare open it? You may never fully escape what lies behind it. But then again, if you ever feel a chill when you're reaching for a door handle, perhaps you've already called to it. And it waits. Always. Good night, my curious ones. Pleasant dreams, if you dare close your eyes.